The SCP Foundation keeps monsters, anomalies, and even worse things locked. We are the Global Occult Coalition. We work towards our five-fold goal of education, destruction, protection, concealment, survival. We are going to expose those maniacs and their experiments, and we are going to rid the world of threats to our society, our life, and even our existence. I am exposing myself with these recordings, so I will stay anonymous, in order for you to know the truth. I am by Rostris Anonimo. We are the GOC, and you are about to know.
Glad to see you again, agents. The GOC has secured documents about a very dangerous and very hard to contain anomaly. Those familiar with the concept of the Enchanted Forest and the Feywild will find many similarities between those tales and this location. Nevertheless, as we are about to see, its properties and inhabitants are all but friendly and innocent. In this site, even names have extraordinary powers and even greater consequences. Item number restricted per Protocol 4000 issue. Object class Gather. Special containment procedures. The extra-dimensional location described below, as well as the entities and landmarks contained therein, are nomenclative hazards, issue class, and therefore may not be referred to by any name, title, or designation. Only descriptions may be used when referring to the forest outside normative space and native entities thereof. Variations must be made in these descriptions each time a subject is described. Descriptions may be color-coded for clarity, or changing fonts if necessary, and florid language may be used for the sake of nomenclative diversity. In the event of a nomenclative containment breach, standard issue class recontainment protocol must be carried out immediately by the individual responsible for the breach. If the individual is rendered unable to perform the procedure, the responsibility falls to the individual's next of kin. If the individual responsible for the breach has no known next of kin, the individual's name must be expurgated from all existing documents and records. Any other individuals possessing the same name are to be administered Type-G viral amnestics and assign a new one, in accordance with Order 05-4000-F26. At least one successful expedition into the strange and dangerous woodland area must be carried out per year to assess any deviation from baseline abnormality. Due to the high risk involved in entering the place where the nameless are found, personnel sent to conduct research must be trained in the standard exploration protocol as detailed in 4000 SCP. Unauthorized documentation of the forest found in chimneys must be suppressed via standard information containment protocol. Unauthorized individuals with knowledge of procedure 4000 Holloway are to be administered amnestics. Amnestic class to be determined on a case-by-case basis, and may be released following a period of disquisitional rehabilitation. Description: the SCP in question is an extra-dimensional forested area with numerous anomalous qualities, including a hazardous nomenclative phenomenon. This anomalous location is accessed by performing 4000 Holloway. See document DOC-4000-H. After completing the procedure, subjects emerge from the opening of a dilapidated brick wall fixed into the forest floor. See Figure 1.2. The only way to reliably traverse the unusual terrain is by use of a single dirt path. Explorations that diverge from said route have resulted in immediate loss of contact with participating subjects. The sole safe route may only be traversed in a single direction, and any attempt by subjects to turn back and return the way they come will result in similar loss of contact. The unnamed world does not adhere to the constraints of linear space. Cartographic endeavors have resulted in vastly different routes being recorded with each expedition, and sections of the mandatory trail, which should logically overlap or intersect, do not. Similar topographic abnormalities have been observed in geonormative forests as well, though no direct connections between these phenomena have been confirmed. The only consistency in the layout is the access point, which is always located at both ends of the main road. The only way for a subject to safely exit the woods, which have no name, after they have begun following it, is by walking its entire length and returning to the place where they began, at the opposite end. A variety of anomalous entities native to the nameless habitat have been documented. Native entities often undergo changes in physical structure when unobserved, which has made it difficult for researchers to determine which reported entities are unique beings and which are newer iterations of those previously documented. Entities claim they have no control over these changes and frequently express dissatisfaction when they occur. Native entities often obstruct the trail which subjects tread, making it necessary for subjects to interact with them to progress. Native entities are sapient and often highly temperamental, but can be interacted with safely as long as 4000-SCP precautions are followed. Rare occasions have been recorded where native entities appeared inherently inimical toward human life. Consequences for disregarding these precautions will vary depending on the personality of the offended entity. Degrees of retribution encountered by research subjects have included verbal rebuke, acts of violence, and anomalous alteration of the subject's physical, conceptual, or nomenclative attributes. Various anomalous phenomena may occur when consistent nomenclature is applied to the realm of the unnameable, its native entities, or its landmarks. These phenomena are still poorly understood, partially due to the prohibition of nomenclative experimentation under Order 05-4000-F26. Documented nomenclative phenomena have included episodic cluster headaches among subjects exposed to affected nomenclature, visual and auditory hallucinations among exposed subjects, usually involving environments or entities described by nomenclature. Gustatory hallucinations and phantosmia have also been reported in a small subset of cases. Sudden onset of psychogenic amnesia among exposed subjects. The development of non-human physical characteristics among exposed subjects, such as feathers and pollen sacs. The development of biological components in non-biological mediums where nomenclature is written or reported. Sudden involuntary transport of exposed subjects to the wilderness of unnamed things, without the use of procedure 4000-Halloween. Manifestation of various flora within indoor spaces where nomenclature was used. Sudden transport of native entities to areas where nomenclature was used. Biological fusion of exposed subjects and native entities. Biological fusion of native entities and architectural spaces where nomenclature was used. Extreme iron deficiency in exposed subjects, with an absence of expected negative side effects. Order 05-4000-F26 was ratified by the Overseer Council in 1954. A 1970 amendment requires that 05-4000-F26 receive unanimous endorsement from the Council every 10 years in order to remain in effect. To date, no Overseer memos regarding 05-4000-F26 have been disseminated to lower clearance levels. Notable containment breaches. Addendum. The following are examples of anomalous phenomena observed during nomenclative breaches. Breach date 9 June 1954. Named subject, the glade of which we seldom speak. Summary. Initial discovery and subsequent breach took place in an abandoned home in rural Connecticut. Circumstances of the discovery are unclear due to a lack of surviving personnel, but a general timeline of events has been established. Timestamps are standard NATO format. The hollow of unspoken titles is discovered and given a temporary tag E, archaic object class used as preliminary designation for newly discovered anomalies, still in an unsecured state. Designation by Field Agent Garrett Bradley, creating nomenclative breach. Field Agent Moira Dinori enters the land beyond the flood and is never recovered. Agent Bradley begins to gradually sink into the hardwood floor. Nearby agents flee the area. Soon after exiting the house, all agents are suddenly rendered immobile, with the exception of Timothy Woods, who was not aware of the Type E designation. Immobilized agents vocalize distress as their dorsals elongate. Elongation ceases after agents have reached a height approximating that of the chimney, where procedure 4000 Holloway was performed. Smoke spells from their facial orifices. Timothy Woods reports these developments via radio to Site-08. Secondary breach is caused when Timothy Woods repeatedly uses the phrase "the" to describe the world where words have power. Timothy Woods states that he sees his name in the trees. Site-08 personnel press Timothy Woods for further information. Timothy Woods attempts to orally consume his radio and soon expires from internal injuries. Timothy Woods' correspondents in Site-08 are observed suffering from severe headaches and are placed under quarantine. Ostial protrusions resemble tree branches emerge from the orbital cavities of quarantine Site-08 personnel. Personnel report no physical discomfort despite exhibiting full glow relaxation in both sockets. Afterward, nomenclative anomaly eventually discovered after numerous cycles of multivariable D-class exposure to affected Site-08 personnel. Breach date 22 December 1955. Name subject: the footpath which loops around the entire area. Summary: Desk completed the first successful exploration mission in the grove beneath nameless stars, and was immediately quarantined. After exhibiting no anomalous effects for 72 hours, Desk was then allowed to write an account of his experiences. When researchers returned to check on his progress, Desk had vanished. Traces of soil and human tissue were later found in the pencil, paper, and Harvey Mansfield Desk had used in his writing. Breach date 19 August 1958. Name subject: the native entity that sits atop a throne of bones and cradles a flaming child. Summary: after completing an exploratory mission, field agent Ethan Mercy used the same epithet several times when describing a particular native entity. Several minutes later, he complained of severe nausea and began vomiting blood and bone marrow. Over the course of several hours, Agent Mercy was reported to have somehow orally expelled most of his bones. Personnel throughout Site-08 experienced auditory hallucinations of a woman's laughter for the next several days. Breach date 4 March 1966. Name subject: the native entity that resembles a feathered lion with a skeletal ram's head. Summary: college student Vanessa Hayford attempted to check into numerous medical facilities in and around Portland, Oregon, complaining that her head had become covered in flesh, despite exhibiting no signs of unusual tissue growth. She was eventually detained by Foundation investigators and found to be in possession of a book that described, among other things, Procedure 4000 Hallway in its entirety. The full contents of the book are restricted to Level 5 personnel under Order 05-4000-F26. However, official statements have noted that certain rituals and locations described in the book bear strong similarities to SCP-1660 and SCP-860. Recent declassifications have revealed that another passage may have been written in reference to SCP-3560, which was discovered more than 50 years after the book's recovery. The significance of SCP-3560 potentially predating the existence of Anderson Robotics has yet to be determined. After stipulating that Foundation personnel assist in removing the flesh from her head if she cooperated, no such procedure was ever carried out. Hayford confessed that she had received the book from an acquaintance in the Wanderer's library. Afterward, this was the first known case of a civilian-triggered nomenclative breach. Similar incidents have occurred intermittently since. In 2012, a native entity was photographed that superficially resembled a young Hayford, Figure 1.1, more than 2 decades after Hayford died in Foundation custody. Breach date 30 October 1992. Named subject: the house in which Michael Ashley Vincent spent several nights during his exploratory mission. Agent Michael Ashley Vincent, who had completed an exploratory mission several years prior, used the possessive phrase house several times while recounting stories to two of his colleagues, who did not have names. This statement has been flagged for potential memetic corruption. I don't care what records say. After 30 years in the Department of Memetics, you learn when to follow your gut. And right now my gut is telling me that there's something off about this. Dr. Sturm. Sometime later, a large brick building manifested inside sight away, intersecting with existing architecture. Michael Ashley Vincent's headless body was found inside, seizing violently, and fused at the neck to a light fixture made of elk antlers. His face, which did not appear animate, had enlarged to take up the entire surface area of the building's floor. Field legends sent into the face's mouth found that it did not possess a full digestive tract. However, Michael Ashley Vincent's nameless colleagues were reported to have been conjoined with its jugular. 4000 Hallway. The following is a censored list of instructions for accessing the horizon beyond labels. Certain steps have been omitted in this version of this document. Phrases and counterphrases at the end of the procedure will differ depending on the subject's type category. The oldest child in their family, Type 1. The middleborn, Type 2. But the youngest only child, Type 3. 1. Using organic kindling, stardust flame within any indoor fireplace. 2. Combine the powdered bones of a male red fox, Vulpes, any age, an adult male lion, Panthera leo, and a baleen whale, Mysticeti, any age, any gender. Cast the mixture into the fire. 3. Take an easily burned personal possession of strong sentimental value and allow the fire to consume it. 4. Carefully release 3 feathers from any black-plumed bird of the genus Curvus over the fire and allow the smoke to carry them up the flue. 5. If the fire begins to emit vocalizations, respond with the appropriate counterphrase. See phrases and counterphrases below. 6. If the correct statements are given, the fireplace will expand and the ladder will descend. The fire will be harmless. 7. If incorrect statements are made for any reason, immediately apologize and do not attempt procedure 4000 hallway again at any point in the future. Note: individuals who are present during procedure 4000 hallway but were not the one conducting procedure 4000 hallway must not respond to vocalizations or approach the active fireplace under any circumstances. Phrases and counterphrases. Variant 1. Type 1 subjects. Phrase: these woods have rules. Counterphrase: or so they say. Phrase: and if you break them? Counterphrase: a price I'll pay. Variant 2. Type 2 subjects. Phrase: is someone there? Counterphrase: there's only me. Phrase: and who are you? Counterphrase: I guess you'll see. Variant 3. Type 3 subjects. Phrase: what do you seek? Counterphrase: to walk the trees. Phrase: now, mind your manners. Counterphrase: to walk them, please. End log. These documents are only the tip of the iceberg that is the SCP known as 4000. We have just witnessed some of the gruesome consequences of ignoring a set of apparently arbitrary rules placed by the anomalous place itself. The SCP Foundation is happy to keep exposing innocent people to these dangers in order to fulfill their inhuman quest for knowledge. At the same time, they do little to protect those unaware of the rules of the woods from its influence. However, we at the GOC are willing to do whatever it takes to secure our safety and protect our humanity. On the next entry, we will uncover these rules in detail, and we will expose an instance in which the overconfidence of the Foundation may have allowed a dangerous entity entrance into our world. In the meantime, be aware of the forest and keep your eyes open. I am Virus Anónimo. We are the GOC. You have been informed.